Welcome to I'm Not Joking, the podcast where a behavioral scientist examines what it's like to live a humorous life. Glimpse into the lives of the funniest people in entertainment, business, and science as your host, Dr. Peter McGraw, explores their habits, motivations, and secrets to success. Get ready to fire up your brain and your funny bone. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to I'm Not Joking, the podcast that looks at the lives of funny people. I'm Peter McGraw. Today's guest is Anthony Noack. Anthony works for Melbourne International Comedy Festival. He's an assistant producer of Raw Comedy and Festival Club, a playwright and producer. His plays Brighter, Whiter, and The Gift premiered at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, and Banana Republic made its premiere at Melbourne Fringe Festival. His novella Eaglemont has been published, because I screwed that up, and his short 25 Cents premiered at the St. Kilda Film Festival in 2007. Welcome, Anthony.
Thank you.
I warned you that if I screwed up the intro twice, I would do it. It's fine. So, Anthony, if you weren't working in comedy or theater, producing, writing, what would you be doing?
Probably snowboard instructor.
Is that right?
I'd probably have to get good, though, first. But I love the mountains, and yeah, that'd probably be my next job.
Is that right? That's great. So where do Australians snowboard?
Well, I've got mountains about 3 to 5 hours away, just up in the Highlands. They're not great by world standards, but they're probably the most expensive in the world.
Is that true?
Because, well, I don't know why, but it seems to be that way. Okay.
Well, everything seems a little bit expensive here.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Well, so you live in paradise, you got to pay for it.
Exactly.
Now, if you were a snowboard instructor, would you do like half the year in Australia and then half the year in some other, like North American or European?
Yeah, probably. I'd break my time up between Japan and America.
Okay.
Don't know if I do much snowboarding here if I had the choice.
Right.
It's good enough, but I'd probably hit some international destinations up. Maybe do some walking in the summer months, because I like being up high.
So, most people answer this question in this kind of pained way. You don't seem pained.
As in, like, I'd be giving up something else.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I don't know,
Well, I think that if I had a magical choice, spending my time snowboarding would be pretty fun.
Yeah, it's a nice life.
Yeah. But
you're not?
No, I'm not even that good, so that's a real bummer. But when I've gone, I've enjoyed it, so I kind of stick to that.
I moved to Colorado like 14 years ago, and people are like, do you ski? Do you snowboard? And I was like, no. I was like, but I guess I'll learn. It would be weird not to. And my plan was that I was going to take 3 days of alpine skiing lessons. And then I was going to take 3 days of snowboarding lessons.
Yeah, decide which one you like.
And then I was going to choose. But at the end of 3 days of skiing lessons, I was like a competent skier. I actually haven't gotten any better than that. But I could kind of do fun things. Yeah. Maybe I've gotten slightly better than that. And then, I just never bothered to do the snowboarding.
I think snowboarding is even easier to pick up.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's harder to get really, really good.
Really good. Oh, so then I made the right choice, because I haven't bothered to get any better in it.
Well, if you pick one you like,
that's
stick
true.
to it.
It works fine. So you do a lot of things. So you're a writer primarily. Yeah. That's that's like the first thing on your business card.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked for the festival for about 13 years in various capacities. So doing more of the technical production side things at first. So if that was my job, according to the tax department, that's probably more my job.
Okay.
But in terms of, I guess if I wasn't going to be a snowboard instructor, I'd be writing. So, yeah.
So tell me your writing setup. Like, where do you do it? What do you do it on? Do you have a ritual? What's the...
No, it's pretty haphazard. I write on, my laptop.
Okay.
I have, set up a desk at home, but it's pretty torturous to try and work there. If I'm going to just try and do some solid work, I'll get out to a cafe or a library and try and work there. Yeah, it's probably best for me to be forcibly sat down somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it feels even less like work when it's at a cafe.
It does. I look out the window a lot and just watch the world go by.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm doing something even if I'm not getting the words on the page.
Yeah, I like doing that quite a lot. There's like, it's sort of, home is too quiet, and then work feels too much like work. Cafes feel kind of, it's sort of, it isn't.
It's like almost like an office.
It's almost,
like, there's other people doing stuff there, and, it feels a bit creative.
It shows that even, no matter how misanthropic we get, we still are social creatures. The idea that you go to this other place to work and drink coffee and eat all the things you could do at home, really, if you really wanted to.
It's also kind of like having a person watching over you, because if you get up and pace around the cafe and start polishing their glassware and tidying things up, they're going to be, what the hell are you doing?
Yes.
So it's harder to procrastinate. You put in your spot. This is your role. You sit there. They'll bring things to you and do what you've got to do.
Yeah, and
it's
if you
the most productive thing.
Yeah, the worry is for me, like the internet. Like I like, actually, there's some cafes, coffee shops, I should call them, in the U.S. that I go to that don't have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And I can't do all my tasks there, but there are times where I'm like, truly need to write. Those places are great because...
Yeah, if you get offline, that's a huge advantage. Really yeah. Sometimes I won't ask for the password. I usually cave after 40 minutes or so.
I need to do this piece of research. I need to find this thing.
It's funny how often you just start typing some random thing that was very pertinent to knowing as research for something.
Yes.
Really, it just leads to a rabbit hole, and you don't necessarily need to know the exact date of this thing happening and whatnot.
4X's will hold that place.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. It's just self-control. Like I'm high in self-control. I know that, but I don't feel high in self-control. It's hard to do the work because enough of the work's aversive, and there's so many other less aversive, soothing, fun, interesting things at our fingertips these days.
Yeah, I mean, one part of you is telling you to work, another part is wanting you to do anything but, and trying to, work out which part to listen to. Yeah,
the work has to be aversive if people will procrastinate by cleaning their house.
Well, cleaning up the environment's good.
It's good, but it's not, that's chore.
Yeah.
People just.
It's amazing how it becomes something you choose to do for something else to do instead. So that's kind of like the bane of anyone trying to motivate themselves creatively at home. And there's always something you want something else you want to do.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, it's true.
But yet, you still manage to write plays?
Yes, I've just finished off a draft of another one.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. Well, it's probably up to draft 6 or 7 now, so it's a never-ending process, and until you just get sick of it.
Can you talk about this play?
Yeah.
What's the premise, plot?
It's basically set in an anger management group.
Okay.
And
there was a movie already made about this.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few. There's quite a few plays as well.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess it's about the interaction between the not only the people in it, but the interaction between the person running the group and the group.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you create characters for that? So how many people are in the group?
There's 4 and one person in charge.
And the facilitator. Yeah. And who are these people? Are these people in your life? Do you know these people?
One kind of was from another play and just kind of had the character already.
Same name and everything? Or?
Actually did, just because it was kind of easier.
Okay.
Just to drop them in. And
that's kind of fun.
Yeah. It'd be interesting working with, people over 2 different texts.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I tend not to overthink it.
Okay.
I might just start writing, seeing what feels necessary for the story.
Okay.
And they tend to flesh themselves out fairly naturally. I don't do big bios or outlines beforehand.
So you don't have like personas?
No.
Okay.
No. I just kind of do a rough idea of number and ages, and then go from there.
So I have a question. So, and you're writing this for theater to be performed on stage, so it's not like writing a screenplay.
Mm.
Is there something different about character development for theater than for like film or for a novel?
I think there's a lot of similarities. For like, I've written short fiction, short films, and I suppose in the short films I've been able to get away with more of a snapshot, where you can just create the sense of the character through juxtapositions and however you want to edit together. Whereas theatre, I kind of tend to try and flesh out the characters a lot more.
Okay.
I guess, I mean, the medium itself, you're going to be working with actors who are often, not in your direct control. So with a novel, you can essentially create how the audience is viewing the character to a larger degree.
Right.
Whereas with a play, I hand it off to the director.
Yes.
They'll start working with the actors. The actors will come up with their own things.
Right.
And sometimes it goes in a different direction to where you initially intended it. So you've got to kind of bear that in mind as well, that where there's scope, you want to narrow it down if you don't want a character to be perceived in a certain way.
So you'll actually write in a particular way that might not let a director and actor do something that you don't want them to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like to be over descriptive in the stage notes.
Okay.
I think that's a bit much. You want to give as much freedom as you can. But if there's some particular thing that I want to get across, then I will put it in.
I see.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a saying about I'm going to mess this up, but like film is the director's medium and theater is the writer's medium, and there's some other ones like TV is the producer's medium and whatever. I mean, and that's not, medium might not be the right word, but you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess where the most power is.
That's right.
In film, I mean, the writer can be thrown out in an instant, and if the director wants to rewrite the script, it's purchased by a studio and even help you if you disagree fundamentally there.
Yes.
TV, I guess, the showrunners, they build the name, and they might get a whole room full of writers. So, I mean, I think there's truth in that. And ideally, in theatre, your script is respected. If you've got, the means to fight it, if you wanted to, you could stop someone putting on a production that goes against the original intent.
So you said there's stage notes. I don't understand what.
So in the text, you might say describe what the actor's wearing, or just their movement, and I'll try and be as definite as I can. So when it has to happen, rather than telling the director that so and so takes a breath here, I still do that. I did that more when I was starting out, but I kind of trying to weed that out as much as possible, and then hopefully what is there is more solid.
Yeah, so I know that is the case in screenwriting, is that's frowned upon to
spell out. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to
it's about you
don't want to say, this is a POV shot, and the director goes, well, I'm definitely doing that in mid shot now. So,
yes, that's right.
Or whatever,
those directors are going to go, oh, that's a really great idea.
Yeah. I'll do the opposite. Yeah.
So when it comes to writing plays, what are you best at?
Probably dialogue.
Okay.
Character and voice. That's probably where I've had my most interest and what I enjoy most. Okay. It's creating dialogue, banter, and just human interactions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how and so how do you do that? Let's suppose I want to get good at that. What do I need to know?
Well, I started off by back in the day when I had a cassette Walkman, would get tapes from the library of plays.
Okay.
So I'd listen to, I really liked Rosencrantz and Guildenstern the Dead by Tom Stoppard.
Yes. So
I'd actually just listen to that over and over again, getting sent to the language.
Yeah.
Same with Waiting for Godot. Would just listen to that. Mm-hmm. Just sensing it. Sensing a good production of it. just the dialogue only.
Okay.
And getting a feel for it. But that was, back when I was a student and just really trying to improve and get a sense of what I was doing. So I think that was a good grounding. It certainly influenced the first few pieces I wrote, which were very much of that kind of ilk, a sort of snappy dialogue, short lines, and very sort of trying to be as witty as I could.
Yeah.
And that kind of worked. I did enjoy that. And now I guess maybe listen to conversations, get a sense of how people talk to each other and try and capture that. Yeah,
I mean, which, has to be different than the way you might write dialogue for a novel or something like that, where you might have extra words.
Yeah. You can sort of, use adjectives and
you
things.
Can use words that people wouldn't use in conversation.
Yeah, totally. Although, if I were to try and write naturally in a novel, I try and use the same techniques.
To use the same thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'd want to keep
I see. This reminds me of two quick stories, one of which I know is true, the other one I'm not sure. So the true one is, and I think you can find this online, I'll actually make a note of it and put it up. Steven Soderbergh, on his blog, once took Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he stripped away the color, and he stripped away the music, the dialogue, right. And then he put a non-vocal track just on in the background, and just watched it to learn how Spielberg would frame shots.
Yeah, okay.
And the idea was similar to what you did. He just stripped away as much of what he could strip away that you would normally attend to, like how people are dressed.
Yeah, exactly.
And stuff in your case, just to try to better his framing from watching a master in that way. The other one is that I heard was Michael Jackson, allegedly, it should be easy to find out if it's true or not, when Staying Alive came out, the Bee Gees album. I think it's self-titled. I could be wrong. I think Staying Alive is the name of the album and the song. I'm not sure. But in any case, he listened to that song or that album 100 times to try to figure out what they were doing, which I think is incredibly striking behavior, right? You think of Michael Jackson as this supreme talent, right? One of the best singers, songwriters, dancers, performers, etc. And yet here he was listening to another, great pop artist 100 times.
Well, that's how he got to do this.
I mean, of course, right? Yeah, it's not. It's. We'd like to think these things are just gifts bestowed from above, but
no, you got to work at everything.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm making a note right here. What do you want to get better at?
In terms of my work, not only is getting over procrastination and motivation, but I think in overall structure, I think that's probably where I want to improve next, is be able to say, this is what I want to write, this is where I want to tell, and this is where it's going to go. I tend to be a bit more freeform, and I think that's actually causing a lot of headaches for me, where I hit draft 6 and I've kind of got to then get it into shape.
Do you ever write yourself into a corner and you can't figure out how to get out of it?
Sometimes something will come to a dead end. If you really want to work on something, you can generally get out of it. But sometimes it can just be indicative of the whole piece not really being worth pursuing.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, I think, forgive me because I know film much better than I know theater. But, typically in film, people always complain about the third act. It's just the third act just crap in film. And I can think of a variety of reasons why that is, but one of those to me seems to be this idea that people begin writing and they don't know exactly where they're going. So they have a nice idea. They have a nice
together.
Yeah, they know who the character is and they know the problem and they know, but they don't have a way to solve it and figure it all out. And so then you get these. I mean, even speaking of Spielberg, think of Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? That great movie. Holds up today, actually.
Yeah.
You watch it, which a lot of movies from that time don't. It's not a great ending. It's not that impressive an ending.
For what came before.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It manages to, it still wraps everything up and the good guys win and the bad guys lose and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't do like what Star Wars does, where, the big battle in the end. And the protagonist has to overcome, their own challenges, and internal challenges to meet this external challenge, et cetera, et cetera. So it doesn't, I guess it's not necessary, but it's just.
Yeah, it's probably actually very few movies that get it absolutely right.
Yeah.
Which is why those that do stand out. Yeah, it is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to plot everything out and know exactly where you're going and to know that that's the right way.
Yeah, I know I was having a conversation recently about M. Night Shyamalan. Shyamalan?
Is that Sixth Sense?
Sixth Sense guy and all that stuff, so when he'll swing big with these surprise endings, which Sixth Sense did, exquisitely. And then others are kind of like, ugh,
Yeah.
That you really see it, right? Because if your surprise ending doesn't really wrap it up very nicely, it's hardly a surprise ending, and it just ends up being confusing. So I want to ask you about some just beliefs, things that you think about. So
sure.
What do you have an unpopular opinion about?
I don't want to get myself in trouble with that. Jesus.
Well, right now, officially, there are no listeners to this because I'm taking all of these before I launch it.
Unpopular. Jeez. It's an interesting one. What hole do I want to dig for myself? I have a lot of opinions. What do I want to hang myself for on this podcast? Jesus. Can I get a pass?
That's fine. I don't know. All right, here's an easier one. What have you changed your mind about? This can now be positive. Right.
Maybe my outlook on myself. I certainly used to be very dismissive of self-help and things like that.
Okay.
My sister was really big into it. She was a sports woman and used to be really, really big on motivational quotes, and I thought it was the daggiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
What did you say? What is that?
Daggiest.
What is that?
Uncool.
Okay.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Boy, there's a lot of that out there nowadays.
There is a lot, and it's growing. There's a lot of kind of people just
self-control's difficult, right? Self-motivation is difficult. So,
but yeah, I used to just think it was just so stupid. Like, just do what you're doing, but yeah, having had difficulties in motivating myself, I've certainly read a few, including I read the classic. What was it? Was it Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People? It's a classic daggy title.
Yeah.
But I've read a few, and it's like, well, yeah, you do actually have to want to, look after how you see the world and how you interact with it, and look at all these things, and look where you've probably maybe been harsh on others, and admit your own faults and work out how to actually improve.
Do you want to hear one of the worst ones that I've read?
Sure.
It's called The Magic of Thinking Big.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same era as Dale Carnegie.
Right.
So it's doubly embarrassing because it's like woefully out of date in terms of like the stories and the language and the way it's written and so on. But it's sort of, in some ways you might call it a precondition to try to improve your life.
Yeah.
Because what the writer suggests is that the first step, it's not the only step, the first step is that you have to believe that what you're going to do is important, that you're worthy of it, the benefit of going even bigger than you might be inclined to.
It's not quite the secret, but it's getting close.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's the secret first step to being
volume 1. Yeah.
That's right.
First iteration.
That kind of thing. And this is sort of embarrassingly comes up there. I don't know if this hit Australia. I don't know how many years ago now, 15 years ago or more. The Secret.
Yeah.
The Secret is just a different version of that.
Yeah, exactly.
You imagine what you want.
Visualize
what your life is going to be and how much better it's going to be and so on. Now, I mean, of course, the missing step is then how do you achieve those things or get those things and so on? But but that can be a motivator.
Yeah, I mean, there's even some truth in that. As Secret's probably as daggy as they get.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, that classic Oprah book club winner. And, but even then, there's probably if I looked into it, I'd probably find some truth in the idea of picturing what you're aiming for.
Yes.
And as a goal to move towards.
So you're reading books?
Yep.
There's lots of YouTube videos.
There are. I've been getting out amongst it and just putting my towel between my legs and going, okay, all right, what can I pick up here?
I think. I mean, these things are hard. The creative work can be fulfilling and can be fun's not the right word, but can be enjoyable and a good way to pass the time. But if you want to try to produce something, that
it's a slog. There's no other way around it. Just kind of, you just got to slog at it until it takes form. Yeah. And if you can find things to help you along the way, then go for it. Yeah.
So clearly I've looked at those things. I'm probably more like your sister. So you said she's into sports.
Yeah. So she got into the whole,
I think that sports lend themselves to this a little bit more because you're sort of very clearly putting in a particular type of work. It's actually surprising the number of these YouTube videos that are motivational, that are sports focused.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that, having to get up every morning at 5 in the morning to just get training and, the Rocky montage,
drinking the raw eggs and running up a mountain.
It's a huge effort. And if you got that goal, you need something to get towards it. And if it's there, they're probably more likely to take it. Whereas I guess if you're in a creative field, maybe you're a bit more cynical about that. And anyone tries to put that forward, you think it's snake oil and try and just keep moving in a somewhat purer way.
Yeah.
But it's everyone needs something to hit them on the track.
One thing that I changed, this is now a while ago, thankfully, was the sports stuff reminded me of it, to set aside anger as a way to motivate.
Yeah.
Because some of these videos are focused on like you'll show them.
Right. As a revenge. It's probably not the healthiest way.
It's not. And that's actually why that's why I did it. Because, so first of all, anger is a great way to motivate, right? So it's an approach, right? Fear is a withdrawal emotion. Anger is and anxiety is a withdrawal emotion, but anger is an approach emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And so it works, right? It's one of the upsides of anger is that if you want to get something done, being pissed off is a great way to go do it.
No, it's a great way to get up out of bed and make the phone calls and do things, but it's often also short-lived. So unless you want to keep yourself in a constant anger state,
and I think that's what people do, right? They look for slights and they look for
to give them something to want to move for, to keep breathing for. It's that sort of kick.
Yeah, but it's not good for you, obviously, physically and physiologically.
It's not good for those around you either.
Indeed. And, the other thing about it is it just gives others too much power over your...
Well, you're completely putting your motivation in their hands.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And the thing I realized this later, and it wasn't one of the things that factored into it, but no one ever goes, Pete, I really thought you were a kind of middling scholar. And then I read that paper you wrote, and I realized, wow, you're a really strong scholar. I'm really impressed by what you've done. That never happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because most people they don't give enough of a shit.
Yeah.
First of all, to think the negative things, let alone to admit that they had or to compliment on the positive things. So there's like a hollow victory, and I think those tropes happen. What is it? There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
Right. Is it
the movie?
Yeah, the movie.
Yeah.
The guy sits in his big house alone.
Until he clubs someone else to death.
And no one ever's like, yeah, hey, I never thought you could do this.
It's that idea that I'll show them. I'll
just show them, there. And then you sit there in this royal
people are too busy doing their own things to worry. Like, okay, you made it. You got you won the statue. You got the prize. I've got shit to do.
Exactly. So there's this flip side to this. So you have this issue of kind of inspiration, motivation, and so on. But then there's this issue of self-doubt, the inner critic, and so on, which I think also leads to procrastination too.
Sure.
Do you have an inner critic?
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, after I did a couple of plays, one after the other, and they did well.
Wider.
Yeah, and then we had the Banana Republic.
Okay.
That went well. I mean, it sold out by the end of the season, which was good. But it didn't launch into some big, career or international opportunity. It just sort of, I got to. Yeah,
you're here at this podcast.
I've got to go. Yeah. Mark Maron hasn't asked me in yet. It was just next year I've got to hire another theatre and do it all again.
Okay.
And I think I just took a bit of a break after that. I was just like, I'll just keep writing. And then just did a few readings, which was good because I was kind of working out what exactly I wanted to work on next.
What is it? I don't know what.
So I had to play, it's actually called Gingerbread. And I went over to New York for a year.
Okay.
To live over there.
Uh-huh.
And so I met up with a few different theatre makers over there, had some short excerpts read at readings nights where basically actors,
table?
Yeah, no, actors would sit in front of an audience and read it.
Oh, okay.
So like a rehearsed reading.
Okay.
And other times would hire out a venue and invite a few people along, and actors would do a rehearsed reading. And so it was kind of a process I hadn't done before, which is more of a long form thing, like something you'd probably do more likely working with a theatre company.
Okay.
And just developed it and just had probably about 6 or 7 readings over the course of the year. So I didn't have to go all in putting on a production. And just really improved.
It's like testing it, pilot testing.
Yeah. So that worked well. That actually gave me a lot of motivation as well, because I probably was a bit waning at that point. Just the thought of going through the whole producing another play on a low budget. I haven't yet produced anything with $1 million budget, but I'm suspecting it's going to be easier than doing something with a fraction of that.
Yeah, indeed.
As much as, but
that's not. Yeah, you can't romanticize.
It might not be.
Budget.
It might be. Yeah.
Well, it'll be different headaches, but it'll be easier.
So, I really enjoyed working on the ones that I did. It was great, but it is. Yeah, you do wonder if it's you should keep doing, because it does take away from working on other jobs, building a career in other areas.
Right.
But I kind of decided, okay, I'm going to keep throwing time at this. And it was good to see it just play on stage and it developing and then, just going. So that was a good way around it. It's just doing small chunks rather than looking ahead at the next big thing.
Did you have to do anything different for American audiences?
Yes,
and American
I had to completely. Every reading, someone would say, "No, we don't say that
What's
here."
What's daggy?
Yeah, like to get rid of daggy. First up, it was just a basic spelling changes.
Yeah. Why is there an extra U in this word?
Well, it was there originally. So we'll argue about that another time. So, yeah, there was a huge amount. Actually, and every time something else would just be creeping in, like even just using the hospital or something had to be removed because it's more likely to say hospital, go to the hospital, go to hospital.
No, to the hospital.
To the hospital. We'd say go to hospital.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So just things like that.
Yes.
And just more than I imagined. Just, it's, just united by a different, what is it? Separated by a common language.
Yes.
Yeah.
I celebrate it. I really enjoy the way the Australians, use of English. To me, it's fresh and fun. And
yeah.
And there's things I'm already starting to, I've only been here for a little more than 5 weeks, and there's already things that I'm picking up that I like from it. And then other things that just still seem strange.
Yeah, I mean, we do shorten a lot of things.
Yeah, that to me, that doesn't, I don't mind that. Like, so the one I can't get around is reckon.
Okay.
I just can't reckon about anything.
No.
But others think, but mate, I
onto that, yeah.
Well, to me, I like the way it feels. It's
friendly.
It's very friendly, and it's very like communal. It feels like we're all in this together, kind of thing. That I like a lot. And then some other stuff is just fun, right? It's just fun kind of stuff. But what about other things like? So the language stuff, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
But were there anything sort of surprising aside from that, or you're dealing with universal emotions and stories and so on that it doesn't matter?
In terms of the content, I think it was fairly similar, although it worked quite well, but I heightened the elements about liberty. So there were strong arguments in the play about freedom to wear what you want. In this particular play, it was about a character who was into wearing adult diapers. Okay. So his angle was about liberty, and the kind of dramatic moment was he actually worked to a dinner party. So
he would wear the adult diapers to assert that I can do what I want.
Yeah, I mean, he was caught wearing it. Okay. So, but then he asserted his right.
I see.
So originally he was hiding it, and then it just became his. And so that element really worked quite well, and I did heighten that. Because, the idea of liberty is ingrained in the American mind.
Yeah. I mean, I knew of, the kind of tall poppy, idea that is very, like U.S. U.S. For people who don't know it, it's the tall poppy gets cut down. Right?
Yeah,
it's kind of. I think of it as a more Asian mindset, right? So the Japanese have this, the nail that sticks up gets hammered down.
Yeah. Small conformist culture.
Right.
Yeah.
The U.S. has no saying like that.
Yeah.
Nothing that I can think of.
Yeah. It's like stand up as high as you can. Yell as loud as you can.
Right.
Yeah.
And I see that here. There's things that I notice that very consistent with that saying. And so I didn't know if that kind of thing comes up in this liberty idea.
I think that the cultures aren't too dissimilar, but you don't want to be making too much of yourself.
Right. Do Australians have a humble brag?
It's probably more of
It's more of a humble brag.
More of a humble brag. You just drop hints that you're killing it, rather than just being in people's face about it. Yeah.
I want to actually, so when were you in New York?
2014.
Okay, so fairly recently.
Yeah.
Did you find that helped you creatively?
It did, yeah. I was seeing a lot of theatre. I was meeting a lot of people, doing a lot of those readings and just getting out and doing as much as I could.
Right. Oh, I just lost the thought that I was going to ask about the humble brag. Oh, yeah. Americans are so busy.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably got that, especially in New York.
Yeah.
Actually, in New York, the Americans truly are busy. I mean, relatively to other parts of this thing. But, there's that very strong sense of busyness, which I think is interesting.
Right. You need to be occupied. You need to be working.
And it's a sign of status.
Somewhere.
It sort of says, I'm so busy because I'm obviously I'm important, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
I have all these important things to do and so on. I don't get that sense in Australia where people are always talking about how dang busy they are.
Yeah, I mean, if you're successful, you're probably more laid back. You've got time to not do much. Yeah, I mean,
do you feel that like I just don't? I mean, again, I'm slightly isolated here in part because I've purposely
anyone who's trying to do something or get somewhere, they're going to be busy. They're going to be,
but are they going to talk about it? And is that going to be part of their narrative and their conversations? Beyond, weather, traffic, busyness, sort of.
No, I wouldn't say it is probably as prevalent as in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I stopped using the word.
Okay. Yeah,
I stopped using the word. I felt like what it was maybe it's trying to communicate something positive, but I think what it in some ways suggests is that you just don't have enough control over your life.
Taking on too many things, a little bit scattered.
Able to prioritize, and that
you're automatically cutting yourself off from someone else as well by saying, I really don't have time for you. Or
I think that when no offense to anybody who uses busy all the time, but it sounds like you're being victimized.
Yeah, the world's doing this to you.
Yes, and really it's not. It's you.
You're trying to do things and...
Which is good. I think that's great. Like I love to have, I was telling you on the way over here, one of my friends surprised me here, and he was joking because I was going to move the time or whatever. And he's like, well, he probably has like 10 things going on today, because he knows me. I like having 10 things going on, going from this to this to this. It's energizing. It's fun. They're things I like to do. Let's not complain about them, like I set the schedule. I didn't have to do all those things.
It's not something you should be inadvertently complaining about in that way. Yeah.
I mean, my mom was busy when she was working 3 jobs because she was a single mom and had 2 kids, and then came home and made sure she still made dinner. Yeah. That's legitimate. She should gripe about that. That was legitimately hard. I don't think she had choice. In that, it was either that or welfare.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. I have a couple questions to before we wrap.
Sure.
So, what are you reading, watching, or listening to, or all 3? That's really good. That really stands out. Beyond just the normal good stuff out there.
I've been watching the Jordan Peterson's biblical series.
Okay.
Which is really, really interesting. He's a Canadian psychologist.
Okay.
He's actually kind of got himself into a bit of a...
Oh, is he the free speech guy?
Yeah, a bit of a quagmire in the papers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But his work's actually really interesting.
Okay.
And
smart guy here.
A very smart guy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get his book soon, but I've been watching the videos.
Okay.
And they've been enlightening, and also they're based on the Bible. I think he's coming from a semi-religious element, but I just found it really fascinating from a story element and historical element.
And this is like a documentary?
It's just him giving lectures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd heard about that he's pushing this notion of free speech pretty far. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, his argument that he wouldn't be compelled to use other people's words, essentially.
I'm sorry.
If someone wanted them to use a particular pronoun, he would say, I don't want that codified into law, because that is, one step towards tyranny. So he had a fairly, strong view, and it's caused him a lot of trouble.
Okay. Well, I hope he's tenured.
I think he is.
Yeah, I bet she is.
You don't want to be ruffling too many feathers when you're not.
Yeah. As someone who managed to get tenure, I bet you he is tenured.
That's brought him a lot of attention, but the videos and everything are really interesting, especially some of his old lectures. And that's just drew attention.
Yeah, that's fun.
And, yeah.
What else? Anything else?
I had a brief look at Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek again.
Yeah.
I read that about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And picked it up again.
Is it any good a second time?
Well, I think a lot of it's dated, and a lot of it was, guess for its
He was early.
He was early. Yeah. And yeah, it was interesting more reading about his story about how he had a very sort of hectic schedule that he needed to pare back.
Yes.
And stop being so busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember reading that a long time ago too. And I thought, yeah, like, Pareto principle, 80-20 stuff, that had a big effect on me.
Yeah.
I think that's good advice for people who it makes you get very clear about what it is you want to do, what you're getting judged, evaluated by your work.
Yeah.
It's good for prioritizing. Some of the stuff doesn't work well for my job as a professor because I can't automate things. Like I can't create passive income and stuff like that. I mean, you know how I create passive income?
How? I
stop working and just keep collecting checks.
Yeah.
But that's not the same as
actually. Actually coming in.
That one, and I know why. I like my work too much in that way. Yeah, that kind of stuff kicked off a lot of these things.
Yeah,
I'm often a little. I share your skepticism of some of it. Right? Like, some of it is just young broy guys trying to teach other young broy guys how to get over.
Yeah.
And then some of it is incredibly thoughtful, modern day philosophical work on how should you view life and work and well-being and
there's probably only a handful of, probably actually 20% of useful things, and the rest is 80% filler.
Yeah.
So if anyone ever writes a book with that 20%, it'll be an absolute bestseller.
Yes, indeed.
And I think a lot of them just repeat that same 20% with their own version of the 80% of filler. So that's pretty much a self-help book market.
Yeah. For me, doing this pod has been really great because I'm getting a glimpse into people's worlds.
That's what podcasts are so great
I'm
for.
basically tricking you into teaching me to think about the world in a different way. And, and that, I think that's really, that there's in the same way that there's an interesting glimpse, like for instance, you're talking about, I've already been thinking about what is the version of listening to the tape of Waiting for
Godot.
Yeah, exactly. What is that for me? Right. So if I want to get better at something as a scholar, my closest story to this is I reread The Big Short.
Okay.
The Michael Lewis book about the 2008 financial crisis. Yeah. And I reread it not because I didn't understand the arguments he was making. I reread it because I did understand the arguments he was making. Like, I was like, how can I learn to write like this? That's not the same as what you're doing, which is you have stripped away the stuff that would distract you. I haven't done. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, just paring it right back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, final question.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to go back to the unpopular opinion. What?
I have to think about that.
You can send me a note offline and I'll just keep it confidential. The secret to success, everybody knows, but can't do.
Finding the part of you that wants to be a success and nurturing it.
And doing what?
Nurturing it.
Nurturing that.
Yeah. Because, just thinking about the idea of the different parts of your personality, there's a part that wants to sit down and work, but it's very buried, probably quite deep.
Mm-hmm.
Your conscious mind might be saying, this is what I want, but it's not really, because it just wants to go make a sandwich and think about something else.
Right.
And that's a hard thing. That's go back even to motivation. It's where's it coming from? And do I need to go do small little things? Do I need to just work on some small little mini plays with a handful of friends? And that's enough to get the movement. That's motivation, movement. That's the whole basis behind it. And that's probably the the strongest thing for me is just forcing myself to do something. And that's the way to tap into that part of me that wants to do it. It's just creating the movement, and then all of a sudden I'm sitting down and working.
Yeah. What's the saying? If you want to be a confident person, start behaving confidently.
Yeah. You want to be happy, smile.
Yes. There's all this work on identity, and I don't know much about it, but, the kind of labels that we give ourselves have a big effect in that way. I know for me, I started considering myself as a creative person. Because it's easy to say, you're a scientist. Right? Oh, you're a scientist, you're a professor, you're a teacher, you're these things. You're like, I'm a creative person. And when you allow yourself to believe that you're a creative person,
then you can do creative things.
It allows you to, you to kind of approach all of those tasks, teaching and research and other things, in a way that you might not have thought to anyways, where you're playing out a script, which is the scientist script.
Yeah, if you're just collecting data and analyzing the data within certain confines, you might not actually figure out what you actually discovered. It takes sometimes looking at it from a little different angle.
Yeah, indeed. And so another one would be, I think, to start to believe that you're a successful person, right? And of course, successes are a good day of writing can be quite
and then
rewarding.
If you frame it like that, it can be. Or if you can frame it as in, I need to win my Academy Award by next year, you'll be miserable. So
that's a hard one. And I think that again, that's sort of that process motivated. For me, finding a way to enjoy writing was like the biggest step.
Mm.
And enjoy, I don't mean enjoy like I enjoy a nap, but
it's creating something, and it's very rewarding when you've created something that you're really happy with and it flows and it's got a nice feel to it.
Yeah,
and you just appreciate the form, and that's a really nice thing as well. Just it flowed together nicely. It sounded nice, had a nice ring to it.
Yeah, that's right.
You've created something.
Feels good.
It's like making a pot or something.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I think that's right. Anthony, this was really fun. I appreciate you doing it.
It's been great.
I will be seeing you soon at Raw.
Yes, please come along.
That'd be great. Cheers.
Awesome. Thank you.
I like we do the handshake sometimes.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit petermcgraw.org for more information about our guest, show notes, and social media links. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share with others. Join Dr. Peter McGraw next week for another fun